Rogers TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. Now, to start off the show, I like to pull a card to offer some inspirational messages to assist us with the current energies. And I was shuffling just before we started filming, and one popped right out. So I'm going to go over this one, but more might come out. And before I do that, I want to let you know, many of you know that I'm an energy healer, I'm a psychic medium, and a personal trainer. I am taking some new personal training clients, whether it is at your home, at the fitness center that I work at. I'm even going to seniors' homes and doing light weights as well as yoga, using bands, things like that for injury prevention or even assisting with any injuries that you might have. Okay. I'm going to show you the card that came out. I'm going to bring it right to the camera here. We have the snake. And the snake is about shedding the old. And it's also about resurrection. So it says the death card on here. It's actually a good thing. Sometimes we need to let go of what's no longer working for us. You know, whether it is, life is about relationships. So it might be relationships within the workplace, within family, a love relationship, or even just a situation that you have been in, a pattern of thought that you have been in, ready to let that go and start stepping into, I need to say this, be curious about the thoughts and the feelings that come up, because you might be thinking differently than that old pattern of thought that maybe you grew up with. You learn this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing, but maybe that does no longer work for you anymore. So it's time to shed the old way of doing things. Maybe you can get yourself into a place of victimhood. Maybe you've been self-sabotaging certain relationships. It's time to let that go. So to transmute that, you need to first notice what those patterns are. This is a really intensive transformational time right now. Another card I've just pulled, the moon, intuitive guidance and guardianship, and it's the wolf. I'm going to bring this up to this camera. We'll see if we can zoom in there quick. Okay, so the wolf energy. When I think about the wolf, I think about working as a team. They come into packs. It's also the moon energy is the feminine energy, the goddess energy. It's about that compassion, that gentleness, that slowing down, that being open to receive. Okay, so think of it. That's where we're going to have the more information in order to move forward. Now, who is up on the show? We're going to be talking to CAA with some safety tips with this cold weather, things that you should consider to keep yourself safe during this weather. We also have Michael Wood from the Uxbridge Music Hall talking a little bit about history and what is coming up. So make sure you keep watching. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I am with CAA's Nadia Matos, who's the Manager of External Communications for CAA South Central Ontario. We thought it was very appropriate to have CAA on with that polar vortex cold spout that came last week. Nadia, I'm really curious as to what would the average call volume be for when it is so cold like that?
Well, the average call volume sits at around 4,000 for a winter day. On the coldest day last week, that number reached almost 9,000. And about 60% of those calls were battery related or light service related. So the batteries really do not like this extreme cold weather. They tend to fail either when it's very cold out or very hot out in the summer times as well. So it's really important to stay on your battery health through these months.
Okay, so talking about that battery health and about calling into CAA, let's talk about tips to create more safety and maybe lower call volumes for CAA so we can get to where we need to get to during this cold weather. So what's the first tip that you have for us?
Well, it really is about preparing as much as you can ahead of time. If you believe that your battery is on its way out and there are audible signs like clicking, grinding, the stalling sound, that is a way that you can listen out for whether or not your battery is failing. You can also look visually, are your lights, very bright when you rev, but dim when you're idling? That is another sign. Of course, if your battery or vehicle has stalled before, that is a big sign. Those are all signs that your battery is on its way out and needs to be replaced. However, the average car battery only lasts about 3 to 5 years. So if you're already on the higher end of that, year 4, year 5, and you're dealing with these extreme cold weathers that we've been having this winter, there's probably a good chance that your battery won't make it. So really staying on top of your auto health and getting a mechanic to do regular service inspections is one of the key things that we recommend.
All right. And what about now? Not everyone can park their car in the garage because that could also help with getting that battery started. Any other tips in regards to that?
If you can, plug in your vehicle. Plugging in your vehicle ensures that all of the fluids and liquids inside your battery are warmed up and can properly have the chemical reactions it needs to start your battery. That's very important. But we also recommend making sure that you inspect your cables for your battery charger. Are they frayed? Are they cracked? That's probably a good sign it needs to be replaced, and be on top of that.
Okay, so let's talk about tires. So in this cold weather, snowy weather, slushy weather, icy weather, do you have any tips in regards to that?
Well, tires really are supposed to give you the most control and stability, especially winter tires. And so, with this cold weather, the tire pressure does go down. And as soon as it warms up, your tire pressure will go up. It's not like the tire pressure disappears. It's just the way that the molecules react to the cold and to the warmer weather. So it's really important to stay on top of your tire pressure. At CAA, we recommend checking your tire pressure at least once a month and adjusting it according to the manufacturer's recommendations. And you can usually find those in your handbook, or you can find it on a sticker on the driver's side.
Okay, I have to admit, I have never checked my own tire pressure. I guess that means I need to go to like Canadian Tire and get a little tire pressure gauge? Or do people go into their mechanics regularly?
I mean, when you get your oil change, that might be a good time to get your mechanic to check your tire pressure and to check that out. It really is best to get into the routine to checking it at least once a month.
Okay, Nadia, so what about car fluids and windshield wipers? What kind of tips do you have for that?
Well, fluids, they thicken up during the winter months. So regular oil changes and making the transition to synthetic oil will definitely help you during the winter months. But also knowing that there are fluids, as I mentioned, inside of your battery that thicken up too. So making sure you plug in your battery, especially when the temperature reaches below -15, it'll help your battery and prolong the life of it as well. And when it comes to, fluids for your windshield wipers, making sure that it's a grade that deals with at least, the weather that we're dealing with, and that it's not a summer version. Making sure that it is a couple more dollars to get that -40 version, but that is the one that's going to not freeze up. And really important to know too that your wipers take quite a bit of a beating during the winter months. They freeze to your windshield and they contort as well with the cold weathers. And so the cold weather is so important that before you turn on the motor, that you just kind of remove all that snow and ice before you use them.
That is the worst feeling that comes over me when I have forgotten to move my wipers and I turn on the car and then I hear, I'm like, no, you could hear the battery. Yeah. Or the motor in the wipers. That's the worst. So yes. Or even I like to sometimes, when I remember, put those wipers right up. Yeah. At the end of the night.
And CAA recommends that the best place for your wipers is for them to be in an upward position if you're dealing with an ice storm instead of lower. It's going to cause you less damage if they're up versus if they're stuck and you try to use them without scraping off the ice.
So what about an emergency kit for the car? What are some things that you recommend? I think we could always use those reminders of things that we need to put in our car during the winter and make sure that we're going to be safe should we get stuck somewhere.
Well, we recommend picking up an emergency kit, at any one of your automotive stores or at CAA. But you can also, if you have the materials at home, you can pull something together. If you have the jumper cables, if you have, the proper things to go into emergency kit, like a collapsible shovel or some tea lights and some matches. But aside from that, put an extra blanket in your trunk, because you never know when emergency can happen, and you want to have enough materials with you that you can keep you warm and make you stay safe. We also recommend that you have a fully charged cell phone, but in addition to that, also bring a cell phone charger, because what happens if your battery dies and your bars on your phone are quickly going down because it's cold outside? You want to be able to charge it so you can call 911 for help or call CAA if you're stuck on the side of the road.
Okay, that I can be bad for that. My battery on my cell phone is like, oh, I'm driving, it's at 5%. I still don't have one of those battery packs, so thank you for the reminder with that. Thank you so much for all of these amazing tips. I think we could all use these reminders, especially with that cold vortex that we had last week. So thank you, Nadia. We will be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Stick around and stay safe.
Hello, I'm Judy Tate, host and producer of At the Heart of Business. Join me each week as we speak with women in business about their challenges and their successes. At the Heart of Business, right here on Rogers TV Durham.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. It's time for a yoga segment. So I am a yoga instructor, and I thought I would provide some poses that you can do right within the workplace. You can do it obviously at home, and maybe your workplace is at home. So all you need is a chair. If it is possible to have a straight back chair, that would be great. If in the workplace you have one of those wheelie chairs, just make sure that your brakes are on. You might need to adapt some poses depending if you have some arm handles at the side. So just work with it as it's going to work for you with the resources that you currently have. So sitting up nice and tall, you can do this with me. I might end up just doing one side because of time wise, but then you can move over to the other side. So let's see how this flows. So you can sit feet shoulder width apart, feet flat on the ground. If you're wearing shoes, that's fine. If you're wearing heels, I recommend taking them off. Sitting nice and tall. So we're gonna start with a cat-cow. It's a nice way to start warming up the spine. So you can have your hands on your knees, and we're gonna start with a seated cow pose. So you're gonna breathe in, you're gonna push your heart forward and up. So you have a little bit of an arc in your back. Your chin is just slightly raised. And you're drawing those shoulder blades together. And then you can round your spine, push the back of your heart towards the ceiling. You're bringing your belly button in. Your shoulders are pushing forward as the back of your heart is pushing back. Now you can work with your breath as you go between the different poses. So if you wish, you could breathe in, chest up, and you're in your cow, and then breathe out to cat. Breathe into cow. You can do this slower or faster wherever you're at today. Breathe out to cat. So you can do that several times. Right now we can breathe in and come back to a neutral spine. Okay, so now we're gonna take our hands together. You can interlace them. Push those hands forward, round that spine again. And you're pushing the back of your heart towards the wall behind you as those hands are reaching forward, and you can feel a stretch in your shoulders as well. And then we're gonna do an opposing stretch here. So you can either place your hands behind your back as if you were sticking your hands in your pockets and draw your elbows back together while you open your heart. Or if your shoulder flexibility is there, you can grab on to opposite elbow. So you're gonna open up that chest. Think about having a nice long spine, tall neck, and do some nice deep breaths. And if it feels okay, breathing in and out through your nose. Good. Okay, you can release that. You can do that longer if you wish. We're gonna get a nice spinal twist in now. So you're gonna take your left hand and place it across your right thigh. Right arm can go behind the chair, behind the back of the chair. Looking over your right shoulder, I want you to do some nice deep breaths in and out through your nose. Thinking nice tall spine. Every deep breath in, think about creating more space, and every breath out, thinking about moving more into that space that you've created. And then you would go to the other side. We can do that briefly. You can do it longer if you wish. So looking over that left shoulder, deep breath in, long breath out, moving into that new space. Again, breath in, breath out. Good. Coming back to center. Okay, we're going to take the right leg, cross it over the left. Now, you might not be able to get exactly to this position. It might be more like this. You might even have your foot at the side of your calf, just as long as you're not pushing into the knee. So wherever you're at, you want to try to have a flex foot sitting up straight, aiming to have both bum cheeks secure on your chair. If you want, you can push gently, not on the knee again, but gently bringing this thigh more down, sitting up nice and tall, hinging at the hips. Breathe in, breathe out, hinge forward. You might only feel like, well, maybe I'm going a half an inch forward, or maybe you can go a lot deeper. Wherever you're at, it's perfect. Just embrace where your body is at today. You might find one hip is stiffer or more open than the other hip. So nice deep breaths. You can have your eyes open or closed. Okay, so breathing in and out. Good. So you would go to the other side. I'm going to move on so you can get a few more poses in here. So I want you to straighten that leg out in front. You can hold it under your thigh or hold it here. If this is too much to be doing in the workplace, you're gonna feel awkward doing this in the workplace. You can also move to the edge of your chair, have the leg forward, and lean forward like this. Breathing into the back of that hamstring. When you open up those hamstrings, it can really help for you to open up your lower back as well. So think about that. There's other ones that we can do. Maybe we can save those for another episode. You can check out my website, thejoyfulyogini.ca, and you can come to a class that works for you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more. This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I am so excited to introduce everyone to Michael Wood, who is the chair of the board for the advisory committee for the Uxbridge Music Hall. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad that we can talk about the hidden gem. Should I say it? Well, it's not really that hidden, but not everyone has visited the Uxbridge Music Hall, and if they haven't, they are missing out.
You're absolutely correct. I have people who have lived in Uxbridge for many, many years. When they find out I'm involved with the music hall, they'll ask me, oh, does it ever get used? And I believe it's the second busiest facility in Uxbridge after the arena, or it's close to, you know, second or third. So it's booked. It's usually booked 1.5, 2 years in advance. We have tons of shows going on all the time, and it's a very busy facility, but a lot of people have never attended it.
And even just the building itself has such beautiful character to it. You can you can feel that it's been around for years with entertainment just coming out from the wood. Like
it does. It does. The acoustics are incredible in it. We have artists who've actually requested to come and play there because of the acoustics in the building.
Yeah.
And it's actually the second building, because the original building was built on that site in 1865. It burned down in 1893.
Wow.
And the town rallied and said, we need a community hall. And in 1901, they started in August of 1901, and in December of 1901, that same year, they opened the doors.
Wow.
Yes, and the building still stands.
They don't build that fast these days.
They don't, and that building's still standing after all these years.
Oh, so that's amazing.
It was.
Well, and so was it 2015 that you did a reenactment?
We did.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
We recreated the original 1901 opening show to open it to the town of Uxbridge. They had a show with music and speeches and dignitaries and politicians, and we recreated that show. We had actors playing the role of the politicians and the dignitaries. We actually found a picture of the original backdrop that an artist in New York painted, but we had a local artist recreate us the same backdrop, and we hung that up. We looked at the pictures of the original politicians, and like I had a huge handlebar mustache to recreate mine, but everybody, it was a lot of fun when we did that. They had a young chap playing the violin, so we recreated that as well. We had someone come in from Uxbridge, and it was all local people. It was all Uxbridge. There was actually a few of the local politicians involved, and it was a great night. It was a lot of fun.
I love how you're honoring the history of the music hall. So if people have not gone out to it, I hope this show is going to, this episode right now is going to encourage them to do so. What are some of the upcoming shows that you have?
Well, right now, and it closes on Saturday night, is Sweeney Todd. That's the musical Sweeney Todd. It's being put on by Onstage Uxbridge. After that, in early February, we have Shrek opening. I've actually cheated. I have them here on my phone. We have Shrek February 13th to the 22nd. Later in February, we have Bean the Magic Barista. We have the Man of La Mancha in late March, and then in early April we have Elton John. That's a musical tribute to Elton John.
I figured that one. That's
yes.
Very cute. I like that.
And this individual gets incredible reviews.
Okay.
There's a Gold Dust Women coming up again in early summer. It's a tribute to Sheryl Crow and Stevie Nicks. And there's a few more shows, and then in November, one of the returning, and it's one that I love. It's very exciting. Is The Last Waltz, which is a tribute to the iconic band, The Band, with Robbie Robertson, and like that's who played in the original band. So The Last Waltz is an incredible show. If they haven't seen it before, they need to get out to see that one for sure, any music lovers.
Okay, amazing. So much exciting things going on at the music hall. So do you basically have things booked every single weekend? Is it?
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about. In the summer, we don't have as many shows, so we have there's a day camp that runs out of there, and then we actually close the hall usually in August for a few weeks, so we can do maintenance and repair things, and that's the time of year. Because summer's a slower time for theater because people are away, they're taking their vacation, taking their holidays, but there still is shows that go on. This summer, the schedule's going to change a bit because we're hopefully going to be putting a new roof on, and but I encourage people, if you haven't been there, you'll be amazed. If you've never been in a show there, come and see the technological advances we have, like our lighting and our sound are up to date. They're the same as the theaters in the city. Remote control lights, and we've really invested in the building and made it a real, it's a spectacular place to perform, but it's also a great place to come and watch a show.
So who manages the building? Who owns the building? How are the decisions made in the building? What's that background?
The town council owns the building. And then, of course, the advisory committee. So it's a group of volunteers, one of them being myself. And we sort of look after the building. We set the policies in consultation with the town. We recommend changes that be made or whatever it might be. We help to facilitate like the shows going on and what they need. Different aspects of that. They might need special microphones or who knows what it is, but we help to facilitate all that. And then like the rental of it is done through employees of the town that are there to serve the music hall and other facilities. So you can rent it through the town, to pay the rental to the town. The tickets are sold through the music hall in a system that the advisory board recommended we set up. And then the night of the show, we have ushers who are all volunteers who come in to assist. And and everyone's interested in being an usher, you get to watch a show for free. So that's a double bonus.
Nice. So when did you first get involved with the theater, and why?
I got involved because I had been involved with the theater as a kid, and as a teenager I did theater, and then I kind of got away from it. And then as an adult I started doing theater again, and then the people on the board, I got talking to them, and I got asked if I wanted to be on the board, so I did. I think that was in 2007, and then the chair of the board decided he wanted to retire, and so they asked if I'd be interested, and I thought, yeah, I love this building, and I do, I literally love it. I thought, yeah, you know what, I think I will. So I became chair, I think it was in 2008 or 9, and we have the vice chair has been there, I don't know how long Frank has been there, Frank Chowan, just a committed volunteer, has been there for years. And then we have other members on the board who are all volunteers, and we all work together. We're a very productive group. We get a lot done, and we love working together too.
Okay, this might be a tough question to answer as a little warning. Of all the shows that you've seen, is there one that stands out as being your favorite?
A few years ago, the Uxbridge Youth Theatre put on Grease. There has been so many amazing shows. Yeah. But if I feel bad, it's kind of like choosing which child you like better. Right. I don't know if you should do that. But Grease, that was put on by the Uxbridge Music Theatre, that it blew me away. Like, it was so professionally done. They were such, you call it tight, they were such a tight cast. Nice. And it was truly amazing. And I'm saying that knowing that all of my own kids have acted in shows at the music hall. So
it wasn't one of them.
But Grease was truly a great show.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No.
Michael, it was wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So I encourage you to get out there to the Uxbridge Music Hall and experience some beautiful live theater, live music. So thank you so much for watching the show. We'll be back next week with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Stay warm and drive safe. See you next week.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.